Oh, we lost Carol.
I'm here.
Who was that?
We're live now. Hi, everyone. This is Randi Thompson, and I'm coming to you live. I'd like to welcome you to the movers and shakers of the horse world. And we've already had a little fun before we've even gotten officially started. We chose to use the Google Hangouts because they are fun. It's fun to be able to meet people and talk to them and see who we're meeting online and stuff. But it's obviously an adventure to get here, but, you know, reality is what it is. You'll see whoever's talking, you're going to see on the screen right in front of you. Like you'll see me talking right now, so if Debbie's talking, you'll see her face up on the screen. That way you'll know who's ever talking. Their face shows up. If you look at the top left of your screen, you'll see a blue chat box. You have to roll your mouse over it. That's where you're going to find Carol Trimboli Aldridge. She's down there. Carol, if you could say something.
I'm here. You can send me your questions on the chat, and I'll help you if you have any questions, and I'll be including links that you can follow to social media and other resources. So I'm glad everybody's here.
Yep, she's our hostess with the mostest, that's for sure. At the end of this session, well, right now I'm going to leave you guys unmuted because you'll know you're all grown up, so we'll just keep talking and you can join in. At the end, we'll have questions so you can answer them and stuff. Our mover and shaker of tonight, we are so proud to announce, is Debi Metcalfe of Stolen Horse International, our net posse. Now, some of you might have heard about her. I don't know if everybody has. If they haven't, it's a good time to do it because she is rocking the world with what she does to help people be able to find their lost horses, their lost livestock, or whatever. Debbie, could you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you're...
Where'd you go?
Debbie?
Yes?
Could you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with Stolen Horse International and Net Posse?
Right now? I'm talking to you. No, you're breaking up a little bit over here. With Stolen Horse International, we work with people to try to help them find their horses when they're missing. But mostly we try to educate and teach, quit laughing, and teach people to be proactive and ID in case the horses disappear, that they can find them. There's a lot of things that we do here. It seems like I never stop.
Well, that's what we do, but, you know, I'd like to say from personal experience, I've had a horse that was stolen in my life, and there was nobody around like you at that time, and it was a very traumatic experience because back then I was living in Florida, and we knew who had stolen my horse. They knew where he was, but they couldn't find the physical body of the horse to prove that he was stolen. It was a terrible experience. They had detectives on the case and everything, but there was nothing that nobody could do because they didn't have a network like you've created. Like you've created a network. Can you talk a little bit more about the Net Posse network of alerts that you've created?
Okay, the Net Posse network, it started in 1987. Was it 87? 97, when our horse was stolen, and we sent out the first alert on the internet trying to find Idaho. We'd had no idea how much that was, you know, how many people that was going to reach, but we received information from around the world. And it just kept going and going and going, and people came together, and we found 2 other horses before we found Idaho. And after we found Idaho 51 weeks later, we decided that maybe somebody needed to help people like us. We didn't expect to do this the way we're doing it now, but, you know, it's kind of absorbs all of our life. We eat, sleep, and breathe Stolen Horse International. But, you know, I get up every morning, I go to work on my own at about 5 to 6 o'clock. Nobody kicks me out of bed. I sit down at the computer, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm ready for a nap.
How long did it take you to find Idaho?
It took us 51 long weeks. We got, if you're a victim, and we've got at least 2 here that I know of besides myself, you know that's a very trying time. It's an emotional time. There were times that I thought maybe, that I was even getting depressed at times, but I saw that commercial on TV that says if you can check any of these boxes, you might be depressed, and I was checking those boxes, and I said, oh no, I don't have time for this. So that's part of how I really got into this, because helping other people keeps you busy and keeps you from feeling all the pain yourself. Of course, with me helping other people, I feel everybody else's pain, but I don't let my own in too much. Even though we have Idaho back, that's still a part of our lives that if you, and Randy, you've seen Harold and I talk about this, that when we talk about Idaho, we still tear up, and it's been since 1998.
Yeah, she's 30 years old. Just turned 30. She's
just turned 30 years old. And still kicking around there.
And I know I've never really got over losing my horse. I mean, there was, it is what it is. It's a terrible experience because you can't even put words on it. And this was just somebody that stole it. Well, let me ask you, so Idaho is what inspired you to start what you're doing. Now, and from there you went on to creating your different alerts and that type of thing. Now, I've noticed you get a lot of PR, like you're out there everywhere right now. Where are some of the publications that you've been in because of what you're doing?
Oh, gosh, I can't remember them all, but Equine, Dressage Today, Sidelines, Western Horseman, Gaited Horse. I mean, I think we've been in just about all of them. I don't really think about that too much, though. Sometimes when I look at the list, I think about that's quite an accomplishment. But on the other hand, I think we got so far to go. We're still scratching the surface.
No, but you're getting better with it all the time. You've really made an impact in the horse world, no question about it. Now, you're also speaking at trade shows. So what kind of trade shows have you spoken at recently? What do you do at the trade shows?
Well, at the trade shows, that's part of our educational outreach project. This is where we're trying to reach people who have no idea that this can happen to them. It gives people that have had it happen to them a chance to come in the booth, hand out their flyers, talk to people. I do seminars and clinics. I do a seminar like I'm doing at the Western New York Horse Expo that's coming up. And sometimes I do clinics where we ID the horses in the clinics, teach people how they can do it themselves. They can microchip themselves. They can brand a horse themselves. We pretty much have done everything ourselves except for one ID. But everything that I talk about comes from experience. I don't read books on this. I have so much to work with from the people like Timmy here that are victims that I learned so much from their experiences. I think probably we've worked with close to 5,000 cases now.
That's quite a few.
And Ellen works with us as a volunteer, and she's been learning the ropes for the past year or so, and she can tell you there's no shortage for things to do here all the time. We could probably pay a staff of 10 if we had the money to do that, and nobody would sit around doing nothing.
You're lucky to have volunteers like that. Kim has a question for you, Kim Wende. So what is the process when you get a horse that is missing? What is the process that people need to go through? Thank you for that question, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. When someone has a horse missing, they come to the website. They file a report. Now, we have our reports separated into different kinds of reports. If you are going to file a stolen horse report, you have to have a criminal case, active criminal case number with police. Now, if the horse is just gone, you can file a missing report, because a lot of our reports, people don't know what happened to their horses. They're just not there. And if you're involved in a civil situation, you can file a missing civil. But when you do this, you'll click through a series of questions, check boxes. Everything on our website is in a database so that it's searchable. And when you go through that process, it makes it so that when somebody comes in to search for different types of horses, they'll pull yours up, whether it's missing, lost, stolen, found. And then once we do that and get all the information in, we never send information just forwarded on Facebook or anything like that, because a lot of the cases you see on Facebook aren't what they say they are. So when they go through our checklist, Kim, we kind of find out if they're telling the truth, putting information in there that shouldn't be put out public. We take that sort of thing out. And once we have everything in place, then we send out the alerts. That's sometimes why you see us go out a little later. It's because we're busy in the background checking out the information to make sure it fits and that it's right. Does that help?
Does that answer your question, Kim? I've turned your voice off so we can't hear you right now.
She said yes.
Okay, good, good. So can you tell us your most recent story where you brought an animal, a horse, back to its owner?
One of my favorite stories this past summer was a horse named Odie. And Odie was stolen out of South Carolina on July 3rd. Now, Odie had a microchip. So at least he had something that we could use to ID him. And we sent out our alerts, and they went nationwide, but then we plastered the South Carolina area, because we do pinpoint our alerts as well. And a tip came in and on July 4th, and then we got the call from the owner that said that she was en route to the place where the horse was, and we don't get to see this very often when a horse comes home, so we jumped in our car and took off too. Now, as I was walking out the door, I grabbed the microchip scanner because I had a feeling it was going to be useful. Sure enough, it was. The police were there, and you could see the horse in the pasture, but they had the owner across the street and wouldn't let her even on the property. And when we got there with the scanner, they had us come on the property and scan the horse for proof of ownership. And then she got to take her horse home right away. So that horse was gone 24 hours. So that's the way we hope every alert goes and every recovery goes. But they don't. Like Timmy here, I'm a victim of one horse stolen. You're a victim yourself, Randy, but Timmy's had 10 stolen at one time.
Wow.
That's terrible. Oh, she's talking. Let me turn you on for a minute, Timmy, okay? What I've done is I've turned the volumes down so we don't have everybody talking. Okay, Timmy, I'm making you live right now. I'm trying to make you live.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
It was heartbreaking. It devastated my family. They didn't affect just me. It affected my children and everybody because they took all of our horses.
They just loaded up 10 horses? That's amazing.
Yeah, it devastated. I mean, it was just mind-boggling. The mind-boggling part was who did it. We found out who did it. Now it's just trying to get them back.
When did that happen?
They took the first 3 on July 18th. They took 4 more July 19th, and they took the last 3 on the 5th of August.
Oh my gosh.
That's terrible.
We have separate pasture, so they were on our pasture land, not at home with us. So.
Wow. Okay, everybody, I've opened up your mics so you can talk with us as we're going through them. Well, I'm so sorry, and I hope you find your horses. At least you have a network.
Well, we have
when I lost my horse, there was no network. I had to prove the horse was alive. You had to have the physical body, and I could never find his physical body to prove that he wasn't, because they kept saying that I must have sold him or something. Until we could prove their physical body, I couldn't prove he was stolen.
Well,
all right, so Debbie, we're going to go back to you again. What is your background with horses? How did you get into horses?
I grew up a city girl, always wanting one. And I had a girlfriend in high school that had a horse that never rode it, and her father used to take me everywhere with him on trails, and that's how I really fell in love with horses. And then In 1986, we bought our first horse. It was a rescue horse. Actually turned out to be a stolen horse, too. It's the one on my horse theft been there, done that. I didn't know he was stolen until the book came out, and the person who sold us the horse told us that the guy that had the horse was arrested shortly after he sold Dusty to us, and that all the horses he had were stolen.
Oh, that's terrible.
I asked him why he didn't tell us, and he said he just figured he had a better home where he was. And I knew he had a good home, but at the same time, I would have liked to have found his owner, because I knew somebody was out there wondering where Dusty was. And never. But from there, you know, we just started adding to our horses, and our family we were just trail riders. We rode with our trail riding group around here. Every weekend we took off and went somewhere. We had a ball riding the horses. The kids grew up on horses, and we were about to get us a fancy trailer with a dressing room, so we didn't have to rent hotel rooms anymore. And then an amazing thing happened. We walked out one morning, and Idaho was gone. It changed everything we do, everything about who we are. Timmy said, it affected every member of her family. And as she was saying that, well, wait a minute. As she was saying that, I was reflecting back on when this happened to us, and 3 weeks after Idaho was stolen, my son came to me. He was sleeping in our bedroom on the floor. He wouldn't sleep in his room anymore. He was 9 years old at the time. And after they go to school, he looked up at me and said, "Mommy, do people who steal horses steal little boys too?"
Oh.
And until that moment, I don't think I had really realized that this was a trickle-down effect. Because, in a sense, at that time, we were still going through some form of shock, I think. And so as Timmy was talking, I was sitting here thinking, multiply that times 10. I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
No. Then multiple times, whoever's stealing her horses, they keep coming in and out. That's terrible. So what do you do with horses now, Debbie?
Not much. I look at them. We still have 4 horses. We had, all our horses have been here since birth. They're 2 or 3 years old. Idaho's 30. Secret's 29. Her daughter we had to put down in December at 25. We have another 29-year-old that's under a free care lease that's working out great for us because I stick really strange things in my lease. And then we have a 21-year-old, none of which we can ride. We don't even have a horse we can ride anymore.
Well, they're nice to have around. So you don't ride at all at this time. Well, describe briefly, what's a typical day like for you now?
A typical day, I get up and come right to work right here at 3 computers that I have 2 on right now, and I work on 3. And I start looking at emails, Facebook. Today I was trying to work on a presentation for the New York Expo that I'm getting ready to go to. But
what topic are you going to be? What topic will you be talking on there?
Prevention, recovery, and equine ID. It's an overview. I only get an hour. Honestly, I could teach a whole weekend, I think, to really teach people the things that I know.
And you've gotten into disaster preparation now, too.
Excuse me?
You've also been doing talks on disaster preparation?
Yes, I do that too because, we've worked with quite a few disasters now, and we found out that there's more to disasters and horses disappearing than people think. You never know if that person who's picking up that horse is really the owner or a rescuer or an opportunist.
That's right, because there's no way to really control that when those crazy things happen. You're right about that. So what part of your business that you're doing now do you enjoy the most?
Oh, horses coming home. That's always the best.
Yeah.
because there's not enough of them to come home. I have my special projects. Timmy's one, and personally, I couldn't work with Timmy as much as I want to, but I do have one of our volunteers that's my mini-me, and that would be Jana. And Jana's taken really good care of Timmy, because I knew I couldn't give her all the time that I wanted to, but Jana keeps me updated, and she serves as the surrogate between the two of us. And that's a program we'd like to see nationwide, is people helping people like that.
A pretty good start. That was pretty amazing.
Well, we do have volunteers. A lot of our volunteers are victims, so this isn't the first time we've done that. We quite often assign somebody that's already been victimized to somebody that's a victim.
That makes sense. So, what are some of your biggest challenges that you have with what you're doing?
The biggest challenge. You want to speak on that, Ellen? The biggest challenge. Yeah. Yeah, Ellen can tell you. The biggest challenge is money.
Yeah. So how do you go about getting funding? Money and what, Ellen?
Money and shutting up.
Money is the biggest problem, because most people, because they see us on Facebook, that we're like some of these other groups out there. We're just a Facebook page and we're just passing things along willy-nilly. Well, we don't do it that way. We work really hard to make sure that what we do. I'm being distracted over here. Are you cooking there, Ellen? Anyway, we do everything like a business, because we are a business. And because we're a business, we have all the trappings every other business has as far as expenses. And we have to pay our bills like everybody else, and people don't get that sometimes. And these outreach projects that we go to, those cost a year. Keeping up the website that for the victim services, to keep people like Timmy's horses up there, so they'll just come in and see them.
Right.
Yeah, that's happened. Wander onto the set, and there they are. It costs thousands a year, and nobody here gets paid. And so every penny that we raise goes right back to the organization.
I see you're doing a 30 something right now for Idaho's birthday. You're asking people to donate 30 nickels, 30 dimes, 30 quarters. I thought that was a great marketing idea.
That's actually Ellen's idea. That's why I said, speak up, Ellen, because she's the one that came up with that.
That was a great idea.
Hey, Jana.
That's.
Hi, Jana.
Hi. I'm here
That was
finally.
just something I dreamed up.
That was a pretty good one. Good to see you, Jana. So do you know Debi?
Yes, I do know Debi.
Oh, good. Well, welcome. We're glad you made it. Well, what future plans do you have for what you're doing with Stolen Horse International, Debi?
Well, if you obtain some grants,
Are you
have some actual office space. Yeah, we're trying to get a grant right now.
Trying to get several grants.
That's quite a process.
But the problem with us, but our problem is where the IRS terms us a rescue, and square peg fitting into the round hole, because we don't physically take in horses on a normal basis. Picked up horses from horse thieves and brought them here and found them homes. But people who think of rescues think of poor horses are healthy, and they don't see us as a rescue, and it's hard for us to get some of the grants for rescues because of that. Nobody really knows what we are. We're the only one in the world that does what we do. There is nobody out there that does what we do.
No, not, and especially at the level that you are. Let's see, somebody else has just asked us a question. From Kim Wendy, we have, so do you have volunteers all over the United States?
Yes, we do. You can go to netposse.com and sign up to receive our mailing list, and on the mailing alerts you get our announcements and you get our newsletter, which Ellen is in charge of, and sign up for an account on netposse.com. There you can click on the volunteer button and fill out the information to tell us what types of things that you'd like to do for NetPosse. We are in need of another volunteer coordinator a while back, and we really need a volunteer coordinator because we have lots of people that we'd like to use, but I do so many things. I feel like I wear about 20 different hats.
I can vouch for that.
And shoot myself, but it's, you know, I'm constantly going, so I can't keep up with everybody out there that would like to be our volunteer coordinator. Hello, we need one.
Yes,
and you know,
yes.
We've got 2 of our volunteers right here that work really volunteers, and that's Jenna and Ellen, and they have specific things that they take care of. Ellen, of course, is in charge of publicity, cooking it up. Can y'all see her cooking?
Yes. She's got a knife. Ellen, we can see what you're doing with that knife. I know. Oh, she's cutting dinner. Oh, look at that. These Google Hangouts, they're wild, aren't they? So what are some of the benefits that you give to your members? Is it mainly a satisfaction of doing something for other people and the passion that comes with that? Because you really make a difference.
Well, you know, we're working on a program with that. Ellen's written up something that we're going to work with so that we can give some benefits to them. So far, we haven't done that. Technically, you know, according to our charter, we can't have members, so we have to do it a different way to account holders on the website. So if, you know, we've got some things on the burner where we're going to give some discounts and things like to account holders on netposse.com. But we won't be doing that until we come out with our new website, which, by the way, you know, we're on GoDaddy right now, hosted with GoDaddy, and we are just a few percentage points away from being so big as far as the space that we're using for our database that we don't move soon. So our biggest project right now is another website, updating it so it's, you know, with all the technology, and you know, that costs a lot of money. And so our project that we're raising money through Idaho's 30 pennies, 30 quarters, all that money's going to go to the website. And then we'll be able to roll out these special projects for the account holders.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And most people don't know that the website
a pretty
that we
big
have
project.
It's a huge project, and the website we have right now was handwritten from scratch. It's specific to our needs, and there's no other website out there like that either. If you could see the admin, like Jenna and Ellen have seen it, it's quite amazing what that website does, and what we're going to is something that's even bigger and better. And we'll be on our own server space too, so you know how much that costs if you have ever bought server space.
No, I don't. I've never had a website that big. How much does it cost?
Well, it depends on who you get it from anywhere from $200 up a month, and $200 would be bargain basement price.
Wow.
What did you say, Carol?
Wow, that's a lot of money just for space.
Yeah.
It is, but nobody
what is
can
your
house us
website
now.
built on? Is it going to be a custom coded site again?
Yes, it is. We have an IT guy that writes everything for us. He's from England originally, and he didn't hardly know the front end from a back end of a horse. But when he was writing the website for us the first time, he learned a lot, and now he's kind of running on his own with the new website. He's a really, really great IT guy, and just loves helping us. He knows a lot about horses now. We don't have to correct him as much, but we have a special project on Facebook where Jana and Ellen and I and the other Corps volunteers come in, and he posts things to show us what he's doing, and we either tell him we like it or don't like it. Nah, that doesn't work. You need to tweak this. So it's a group project all the time.
Yeah, it's a big project. It's huge.
Yeah, it is huge.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your future plans with what you're doing? What do you, besides the website, is there anything else? What are you doing to get even more exposure? And as you're getting more old, because I see you're all over the place. I see people are recognizing you as a leader in the industry. That's one of the reasons we picked you as a mover and shaker, because you've made such a big influence on everything that's happening.
Well, the biggest thing we want to do is just grow more people to join our volunteer network so we can get more alerts out there and grow that network and reach more people. You don't see the network that we have behind the scenes and the connections that we have. When I go to these horse events, I work the whole time. And I was talking to Carol earlier about Road to the Horse. I've never seen it yet, even though we've been there. I think this is our 4th time. Because if I'm not actually working in the booth, I'm out networking, trying to make those connections for people like Timmy and to get more help for her. And if you were here, Randy, to find some connection for you, it's just, constantly trying to pull in like breed organizations that if we send to an alert to their breed organization, they'll send it out to all their members. And one of the things that we got started last year was in the state of Florida. You have all those agricultural stations. Is that right? Anyway, the ag inspection stations, and when you pull through with a horse trailer, you have to stop. Well, if we send them a stolen horse alert for Florida, they will send that out to every single one of the ag inspection stations. Nobody else has that privilege. It's because we work with law enforcement. We have law enforcement advisors, and because of our history and our integrity, they took us on as part of their program to stop horses going in and out of the state.
I'm sure that's taken years upon years to gain the trust of all those people and gather that network.
Oh, you can believe it. I mean, you just don't walk in and say, here we are.
Right.
You have to prove that you work within the system and that you have integrity and that you're not, one of the things we can't do, and people get mad at us sometimes, is we can't pick sides on issues. Because if we picked one side or another, then we're going to make somebody mad or hurt somebody's feelings. So our mission is pretty straightforward. It's to educate so that people can better protect their horses, and then if their horses are missing, it's to help bring them home through the network.
Right.
Or teach them. We have resources on the website that they can just download the information and read it themselves, and help themselves. So we provide everything that they need right there on the website, and then some.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
Jana, for example, is training to take over the report process, to process the reports, and she's gotten a lot of her training on the job training from working with Timmy. Ellen is working on more publicity type things and booking me into more speaking engagements, and we're working on a different type of engagement. I love small groups too. So it's a constant involvement to reach out and network.
You must have legal ramifications for all of this too that you have to be really careful with.
We do. We're real careful that when we send out alerts, we do not use names. We try. That's one reason when we send an alert out, we try to get it as close to what it actually is. Like a theft is a theft, and believe it or not, we really get in some arguments with some people sometimes. We deal with civil matters sometimes. If it's a situation where a horse is missing, because we know that this is a situation that the thieves are using this to steal horses legally. I've written an article for Equine that's coming out this year sometime. I'm not sure when, but they contacted me and asked me to write it on civil theft, because this is the new way to steal a horse. If it's in the civil situation, then they're going to get away with it more than they are if it's just plain theft. And they're using that to the max.
Hey, Debbie. Somebody just asked if we ever take tack and donations and auction them off. Did you talk about our big auction that we have online as our money?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. We have one big auction every year around Christmas time, Thanksgiving to Christmas, and we take just about anything in that auction. So yes, tack, donations used, slightly used, whatever we can to put on eBay, or sometimes we just put it on our Facebook page and give it to the highest bidder. But yes, we do that. We have our auctions for tack, and if we can't sell it in an auction, we put it in our store. One of the best things that we have developed is our own Net Posse store. And we don't get to put it out there and market it very much because we're so busy doing other things. But in that store, you never know what you're going to find. And a lot of the items are one of a kind. Once you get it, it's gone. And but the biggest draw for the store is our microchip program, because we're the ones that started the first microchip your own horse program. We did that before the microchip companies even thought about it. And the reason
what that means, microchip your own horses? There are some viewers that won't understand what that means yet.
Oh, microchip your own horse means that you can buy a microchip and you can put it in your own horse yourself. In most states, it's not legal to inject a microchip into another horse. So be careful with that one and check your state regulations on that. But it is perfectly legal to put a microchip into your own horse. And this saves people money. And that was the first thing that we thought about when we did this, because we were being contacted by people who wanted the microchips, but they couldn't get them at the time from their vets. And see, we started working on this in 2002, so we've been doing this a long time. And we had our attorney research it, and then we contacted Avid Microchips, and we started working with them first because they're the biggest registry and the oldest registry. And so we started working with the #1 microchip company first. And from there we still do the packages the same. We package every single one of them ourselves. My husband scans every microchip as it goes in to make sure that it reads correctly and it reads the number on the package. It's quite a process. But when people come to the store and get the microchips, they're very low cost. And we have 3 different companies, 4 different registries there. Plus,
what is their normal cost?
Oh, well, it depends on where you get them from. We have them ranging from $20 up, our kits. The kit that's sold the most is the one with 2 registries, because we have our own Net Posse identification program registry on netposse.com. Again, it's a first in the industry. Nobody else had ever done this, but our thought behind that was when you register in the NIP registry, we're not registering just the microchip. We're registering your brand, your lip tattoo, your scars, natural markings, all types of things. And then if your horse goes missing for any reason, instead of taking the time like Timmy had to do when she put 10 horses in, and that took all of us to help her with that actually. But if her horses had been in the registry, we just flip a switch and they go over to the alert side, and then we don't waste valuable time. Right. And plus, it's a third-party registry for people to prove ownership. And in that registry, you can put your Coggins, you can put your bill of sale. There's different documents to prove ownership. As you go through the registry, we're teaching you things that you need to think about as far as ownership, proven ownership, and markings of your horse. So like I said, everything here is educational. Even the registry is.
Well, you've really put a lot of thought into the process of what you're doing. We've been so serious about everything, but some people are confused because you have Stolen Horse International and you have Net Posse, and I understand they're one and the same now. Can you tell people where they can find you? Your website is actually netposse.com, right?
It's netposse.com. It's a little story about that. See, I never intended to do what I'm doing. I just, when Idaho was gone, I used to say my prayers at night, and I would promise God that if he brought Idaho back, I would do whatever I could to help other people find their horses. Little did I know that it was going to be like it is now, but we recovered Idaho in a church parking lot in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. And when you make a promise and then you find your horse in a church parking lot, I mean, I think that's pretty evident what I had to do. And so, yeah, I started the little hobby thing. I didn't know how to send emails when I started this. I didn't know what domains were. I didn't know what a difference between a JPEG or a bitmap. And all these people along the way helped teach me these things. And that shaped what we do today. And in the process, it got bigger and bigger. So when I went to buy my domain name, shy.com was gone, which was what I really would have picked. But the news media had nicknamed us Net Posse. Net short for the internet, and posse that goes after the bad guy. And when they nicknamed us that, it stuck. People kept calling us Net Posse. We're registered with the IRS under Stolen Horse International. But Net Posse was so cute, and it stuck. So that's how we got branded both ways. And even when we talk to marketers now, they say, oops, too late to separate the two. I mean, you got to brand both ways now.
Yeah, and that works.
Net Posse is basically the people and that help, and the website where they're helping.
What are some of the social networks you're on? Are they under, because what names do you have them under? Like, are they under Stolen Horse International on Facebook or Net Posse, and then you're on Google Plus? Where else are you? Are you on Pinterest? Where are you?
Did Ellen leave? She's been in charge of that. We're on all the things you just named. Twitter.
Ellen did leave.
Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, or what? She just put us on that. I don't know what all these things are.
Usually you can
Facebook
type in.
me. Excuse me, Timmy?
Usually if you type in International Stolen Horse International or Net Posse, it will bring up both. I mean, Net Posse takes you straight to Stolen Horse International. So even on Facebook or whatever website, you can type in either name and it will take you strictly there.
See, our website's indexed in the search engines, and if you type in, any keywords that have anything to do with what we do, we come up number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lots of times, and we're always on the front page for anything related to what we do.
Oh, good. I know how much work that takes. Well,
I'm sorry.
It's a great thing. You have to know how to do it.
Jana's learning how to do it, and
yeah.
It took me 6 months to figure out what keywords and long-tail keywords were, Jana. I understand. I would go to sleep trying to figure them out. I've got it figured out now, but I was making it much harder than it was. It's just the terms people search for to find us.
Well, I wouldn't be part of where I am now without you, Randy.
Oh, thank you.
For those that don't know, Randy has mentored me a lot over time and taught me things like how to get in Google Hangouts.
Yeah, they're fun, aren't they? We just have to train people how to use them because these are such a great tool.
Yeah, I like it. I know that I've already used it with Jana and Ellen to do some work, volunteer work things for Stolen Horse International. But I wouldn't have done that without you.
It was up to 1 or 2 things. It was Jana moved to Shelby, North Carolina, and have Debbie train me, or use Google Hangouts.
Right. Yeah, we're lucky to live in an age where we have this type of thing, that's for sure.
Jana's going to be taking over, I hope, the report process. But she's going to have to be trained on how to do that. And Angela's going to have, so we get Angela in there, who's handled it for a long time, and working with Timmy and some of the other victims, she's got the background now that helps, because you can't just come into this and do it. It's a lot harder to do than people think it is. Do you agree with that, Jana?
I do agree.
It's, you know, we're dealing with all different types of personalities here, different types of feelings, anger, hurt, extreme hurt, depression.
Well, no two cases are the same, no matter how you look at it. All the situations are different, and to a certain extent, they need to be handled differently. When you first talk to someone and they say, oh, my horse has been stolen, I have learned so much in a short period of time when Debbie was like, no, that's civil case. What? What does, you know, why is that a civil case? Well, now I know.
Yeah,
And
serious thing.
And you know, even when we get the reports out there and a horse is recovered, and Timmy, I don't know if she'd like to talk about this a little bit, but you have different battles to fight. First, your horse is missing. What do you do? We have a plan of action for any type of missing horse if people will follow it. And if they use the links on our website, you know, everything pops up with all the information right there. Everything's centralized so that even if the horse is found months, years later, and somebody comes back to that link or happens upon it, and I still get some of my original links back from back in 1997. They pop up every now and then. But when they hit that centralized place, they will see the updates, because we update with articles, we update with news links, and recoveries. And with Timmy, she's got one horse out of the 9 recovered. Now, after that process, though, you think, yay, go get the horse, we found it. But that's not always that easy. You fight another battle in recovery. Right. And that's another part of our education, is to teach people, you need to do this now for any reason that your horse disappears, because losing it's one thing, finding it's another thing, but bringing that horse home may be an entirely different story, and you might not get it back. We've had victims find their horses, and they didn't come home because they couldn't prove ownership.
Yes,
and
right.
And in Timmy's situation, she's found one horse, she's found her thief, but she can't, you know, she's running into all kinds of problems, and I know she's got to be so devastated with the things that are going on with the court system. You have to fight the court system a lot of the times.
Yes. All right, we're going to open up the mics now. Everybody, I'm going to open up the mics, so if you have any questions to ask, you know how to hold a conversation, so feel free to ask Debbie any questions that you want at this time.
Well, I'd like to say know a little bit about what's happening to her now.
Well, I mean, when we first started, we had the cops or our sheriff's department on our side. Now I feel like they're fighting us because, unfortunately, we were told the other 9 went to slaughter. We know better. I can prove different, but they won't listen. Like, we had an example. I got an email, somebody saying they found one of our horses in Missouri, and so I got in contact with the Missouri Sheriff's Department, and they went and looked at the horse, but he contacted our sheriff first, and I know, and he wouldn't tell me what they said, but my sheriff, I know, probably told him, well, they went to slaughter, I don't know why we're looking. No, they didn't. So I'm fighting that battle, plus I'm fighting the battle that the thief sold them. They sold them straight to a kill buyer. So it doesn't, and the kill buyer is quote-unquote cooperating because he turned over the horse we recovered, and he turned over the receipts where he bought the horses, and then he says he sent them to slaughter. I can't get it through their head. He can falsify that paperwork, and they tell you, no, they can't. Yes, they can. Just because you say you put this horse on that trailer doesn't mean you didn't substitute a horse for that one. And it's getting that through to people, and that's the battles I go up against, is I hit a brick wall most of the time with authorities, not the other people. It's the authorities fighting us.
There's so many.
Go ahead. In our own case, when we found Idaho, you know, we caught our thief 6 months into it from our own work. We didn't know who he was. He lived 50 miles away, and I don't know how he found us, but he did. But even after we got our horse back and we waited to go to court because we thought, naively thought, okay, we caught our thief, we got our horse back, and we just have to wait for a court date. Well, it took a year and a half after Idaho was hung for us to actually come up to our court date. And then the DA wasn't going to take it to court. He decided to plea bargain out a trailer. And the trailer was, 30 days out when he got caught. And our horse had no value. I mean, it was, we got it back, so what was the big deal? Well, I wanted my day in court. So we had to launch another battle with the DA just to get into court, which we did. Won't go into that one publicly, but we did get into court, and the guy pled guilty. And that should have happened from the beginning. Everybody knew he did it, even the police did, but they weren't interested in really working with it because it was a horse. And that's kind of what's happening to Timmy now. You can go to any of these, what I call the backwoods auctions, and you can buy paperwork. You can buy all kinds of things. Paperwork is falsified. I sat and talked with an auction owner a couple of weeks ago at one of the events I was at, and he agreed with me 100%. He said, you can get anything you want at one of these auctions. And he gave me a different perspective, because of regulations, how even bogged down they are. To keep the records correctly. So the records aren't kept correctly. There's no real ID check there. It's just miscommunication all along the way when a horse is missing. Right now, I can't say that law enforcement is always slack. We've worked with some really good law enforcement officers, but they have cases. They have a big caseload.
With a big caseload.
And horses often, as Timmy's finding out, they don't rank. And that's the bad part.
My sheriff worked his butt off. Don't get me wrong. He's worked really hard. It's just, it's been turned over to the OSBI now. And so I feel like we're getting shoved off to the side because, of course, a murder case is going to come above a horse theft case with the OSBI. So I feel like I'm being shuffled from place to place.
And keep in mind, too, that the horse that Timmy has recovered was supposed to have been sent to slaughter, too. So it's possible some of them did go, but not all of them. Absolutely.
And the thing that I learned, they can.
Excuse me.
I was going to say the other thing, the main thing I learned from this is even videos, pictures, and the physical horse, they can change the appearance. When we look, my daughter found the horse we recovered as Fudge, and when she found him online, she kept saying, "This is Fudge. This is Fudge." He's branded. They had removed his brand off the video. So we kept saying, no, it's not. Well, guess what? Yeah, it was him. And so we saw him and looked at him repetitively, but we overlooked him because they had removed his identification marker to us.
Okay.
So now you learn to look at everything.
Well, that's all we can do. Well, you're really making a difference. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and Debbie, of course, for you to be able to come up there. It's really been interesting to hear what's happening, and thank you for everybody who's taken their time to add their comments. Does anybody have any closing thoughts they'd like to add tonight?
Kim, you've had good questions, by the way.
Kim, is there anything you want to add?
No, I can't think of anything.
I just now looked down and saw that list of questions.
Yeah, well, we're all learning how the Hangouts work. They are pretty cool, once we get the hang of them.
Well, Kim, if you think of anything that you would like to ask us, you can go to our Facebook page and leave us a message, and we can answer you that way.
I definitely will, and I'm going to share it out on my page more often, too, to help you guys out.
Yeah.
You never underestimate the power of one. It takes sharing of one post, one flyer.
Yeah, we have some posts that we put up there, and just one post on our Facebook, and they go 100 to 100,000 different reaches or people reach, and sometimes they only go to a few thousand. What's sad, makes me sad sometimes is people are more interested in looking at the cutesy little quotes and things like that than they are to help a fellow horse person. it only takes, a minute or two to share to your friends or to invite your friends to our Facebook page to share the post for us. It doesn't cost you anything at all, but the return, once it gets shared to Randi, to Timmy, to Jana, to Kim, to Carol, and all their friends, eventually it drops into the right place. And when it drops into the right place, then we pat everybody on the back along the way. It's not, I had everything up here, and thank God Harold lets me do that. He's my second in command who's dead asleep over there right now. But, we can't take all the credit for what we do. We give all the credit back to you guys. We run it. We eat, breathe, eat, sleep, and breathe it. I mean, honestly, I even dream it. I lay in bed sometimes and go, shut up, just leave me alone. But, you can't turn it off because there's always somebody needing help. And Timmy, people like Timmy weigh heavy on my mind because, some people creep in and touch me more than others because I can't let them come into my heart because I would be sitting here crying all the time. But Timmy's one of the people that has gotten to me. And then I have a few other people, and I just want to bring them all home. And I know we can't do that, but I know we could do so much better if people really understood what we do here and that we're very professional about it. And we can't make everybody happy all the time. And I do get threatening calls sometimes, which are quite interesting. But, we try. And all we ask is that other people just try. It only takes a moment.
You've made a huge difference for so many people in the horse world and their horses, and you've brought so many back together. And I personally would like to thank you for everything you've done because I see the difference they made with so many. All right, I guess that's it for the evening. This session will be recorded so everybody can watch it again to listen more closely to what Debbie's doing. Are there any final words you'd like to say, Debbie?
I'm sorry. We got through the whole thing without the phone ringing, and there it is.
There it is. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast now. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening, and we'll see you at the next Movers and Shakers of the Horse World. Would you like to say anything, Carol?
I just want to thank Debbie. It was really a pleasure learning more about what you do, and I hope I'll be able to help out in some small way. So I'm going to look you up on Facebook, and hopefully we can stay in touch. And I really wish you a lot of luck with what you're doing because I think it's really absolutely wonderful.
I think so, too.
Well, thank you, Carol. When I come to Road to the Horse, we'll get together. How about that?
That'd be fun. All right. That'd be great.
All right, everybody, good night.